Hi guys, I have a question. Have you been before or now in a deep crisis or maybe sadness where even you couldn't explain what's wrong? But you felt you are definitely not living the life what you want to live, and you are in a situation what you can't see the way out. That was me about 15 years ago. I was in a deep crisis, and actually when I recognize and identify I am in a crisis, I was already in a better place, a bit more released, because otherwise I even didn't know what's wrong, and I was just basically crying out my eyes every day. So if you can relate to that, I feel I can help you, because I remember the day when I realized all this, and I sat down with myself and I started to dig deeper and see why it's like that. And I realized I've always been a very spiritual person who has feelings and signs and so many signals I could kind of get from the outside world and even from my body, which actually had meanings. So in a simple word, I had a very receptive and sensitive guidance in me, but I realized I didn't use it. I always went for the logical, I always went for other people suggestion, and basically what the society dictated, it was kind of normal. And I also surrounded myself with people who live their life similarly and not really follow their guidance. But my guidance was very strong, always coming back and always giving me signals, always had a voice in my head that talked to me, but I ignored it because first of all, it wasn't logical. Second, it could create a lot of resistance around me. People opinion, people judgments, and basically it seemed impossible to follow the voice in my head. But in that day, there was no choice. I had to change my life because I could see it's going absolutely nowhere, in a deep depression, and who knows what would follow that. Basically, I didn't live my life. I lived someone's life which was actually beautiful. I had a beautiful career in a bank. Later I became a freelancer, and I had a decent salary. I had many friends. I traveled around the world, and everyone was kind of comfortable and nice to me. So my life was actually very comfortable. And from the outside perspective, lots of people envied me. But I was in a deep crisis. So on that day, I decided and I promised to myself I will never ever follow the logical, the outside world. I always listen to the voice in my head and listen to the guidance. So I started to listening to this guidance, and very soon I find some friends who actually new friends and had similar approach to life, and they supported me to actually back myself up and trust myself and trust my intuition and trust my guidance and inner self which is talking to me. So not very long later, my guidance really guided me to change everything around me, because it was even logically very, very obvious. I can't change myself, I can't change my life in the same environment, in the same daily life, in the same routine, with the same habits, with the same people around me. So I had to give up everything what I actually built up and that looked very beautiful from the outside but not from the inside. So actually I bought a plane ticket and I flew to London, and I lived in London temporarily for different accommodations, and in a month's time I found another guidance through a friend who guided me to a small town where actually I settled and started a completely different career. I used to be an accountant, an advisor about accountancy and IT, and actually I started to work with people, elderly people in a nursing home, and later people with learning disability. It was pretty obvious actually what happened, and I just settled in this small town, and there was 42 residential home. We're always looking for staff, it was never enough, so it was actually very easy and straightforward to find this job. I knew that I don't want to watch the computer all day anymore. I want to interact with people and have a connection with them. So that's how it started. And by now I actually explored this guidance and explored how to develop this guidance, which is in a very deep crisis like I had. The only option basically beside a supportive environment what you can follow, and that's the only way which can lead you out. So thanks for listening my story, and I will build upon this guidance system for my next video. Thanks for watching, guys.